Hello coders. In this video, we are going to discuss our second machine learning project, insurance cost prediction using machine learning. So let's get started. As you can see over here, first 5 rows of our dataset, you can see column names, age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, region, and charges, age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, and region. These are independent variables, and charges, which is our dependent variable. As you can see over here, in our data set, we have continuous dependent variable that you can see over here, charges. So this is regression problem. Age, which is age of primary beneficiary. Sex, primary beneficiary's gender. BMI, body mass index. Children, number of children covered by health insurance, means number of dependents. As you can see over here, smoker, yes or no. Region, beneficiary's residential area in the US, which contains 4 values: northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. And our dependent variable, charges, individual medical costs billed by the health insurance. So we are going to predict charges based on age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, and region. Let's get started. So now let's jump to Jupyter Notebook. So now let me first import pandas as PD. Let me execute this cell. So now let's load our data set. So data is equal to PD dot read underscore CSV, and our dataset name is insurance dot CSV. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our dataset is successfully imported. You can download this dataset from Kaggle or from my GitHub account. Link is given in the description of this video. To perform insurance cost prediction using machine learning, here I have mentioned some questions that you can see over here. So now let's solve them one by one. Now our question number 1. In this question, we have to display top 5 rows of the dataset. So for that, let me write data, which is pointing to our dataset here that you can see. Dot, we have to use head method of pandas data frame. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now it is displaying top 5 rows of our dataset. So this way we can display top 5 rows of the dataset using head method of pandas data frame. So now our next question. In this question, we have to check last 5 rows of the dataset. So for that we have to write data dot tail method of pandas data frame. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now it is displaying last 5 rows of our dataset. By that we can able to know how many rows available in our dataset, that you can see over here. These many rows available in our dataset. So this way we can check last 5 rows of the dataset using tail method of pandas data frame. So now our next question. In this question we have to find shape of our dataset, means number of rows and number of columns. So for that we have to use shape attribute of pandas data frame. As you can see over here, shape is not a method, it is an attribute of pandas data frame. So let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, it is displaying Python tuple. This is at index 0 and this is at index 1. So now let's display it in proper format. So for that, print number of rows, data dot shape index 0, print number of columns, data dot shape and 1. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, in dataset we are having these many rows. In our dataset we are having these many columns that you can see over here. So this way we can find shape of our dataset, means number of rows and number of columns, using this shape attribute of pandas data frame that you can see over here. So in this question we have to get information about our dataset, like total number of rows, total number of columns, data types of each column, and memory requirement. That we can do with just one method, info method of pandas data frame. As you can see over here, total we are having this many rows, total we are having this many columns. As you can see over here, column names, age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, region, and charges, and this many non-null values in this age column, these many non-null values in this sex column. Likewise, as you can see over here, D type, data types for each column that you can see over here. As you can see over here, D types column. In our dataset, 2 columns with floating point data type. In our dataset, 2 columns with integer data type. In our dataset, 3 columns with object data type. And as you can see over here, memory usage 73.3 plus KB. So this way we can get information about our dataset like total number of rows, total number of columns, data types of each column and memory requirement using info method of pandas data frame that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we have to check null values in the dataset. So for that, let me write data dot is null method of pandas data frame. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, data frame with boolean values. So now let's perform sum of it. Let me execute this cell. By default, it is displaying null values count column wise that you can see over here. 0, 0 and 0 means we do not have any null value in our dataset that you can see over here. So this way we can check null values in the dataset that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we have to get overall statistics about the dataset. So for that, we have to use describe method of pandas data frame. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, describe method by default displaying statistics for numerical columns that you can see over here. Count in this age column, in this BMI column, in children column and charges that you can see over here. Mean means average value. As you can see over here, in age column, average value is 39.20. Standard deviation. Minimum value in age column is 18. And as you can see over here, percentile 25%, 50% and 75%. In age column, 25% values are below 27. In age column, 50% values are below 39. In age column, 75% values are below 51. And as you can see over here, maximum value in the age column. So this way we can get overall statistics about the dataset using describe method of pandas data frame. Please remember, by default describe method is displaying statistics for numerical columns. If you want the statistics for numerical columns as well as categorical columns, then here we have to write include all. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now it is displaying statistics for numerical columns as well as categorical columns. So this way we can get overall statistics about the dataset that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we are going to convert columns from string to numerical values. Let me display top 5 rows of our dataset using head method. As you can see over here, this sex column, this smoker column and this region column contain values in string. Please remember, machine learning algorithm can understand only numerical values. So we are going to convert these string values available in this sex column, in this smoker column and region column to numerical values. So now let's start with this sex column. So for that, let me write data and our column name. Let me execute this cell as you can see over here. So now let's display unique values available in this sex column. As you can see over here, 2 values, female and male. So we are going to convert this female to 0 and male to 1 using map function. So let me write data and this sex column and map. Here we have to use Python dictionary. So let me map this female to 0 and male to 1. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, we have mapped this female to 0 and male to 1 that you can see over here. Now let's modify our existing data frame using data and this column name equal to this statement. Let me execute this cell. So now let's display top 5 rows of our dataset. As you can see over here, sex column which is converted into 0 and 1 that you can see over here. So now let's convert values of the smoker column into numerical, yes and no. So we are going to map yes with 1 and no with 0. To save our recording time, let me copy this and let me paste it over here. So now we are going to map yes with 1 and no with 0 on this smoker column. And let's modify our existing data frame. Let me execute this cell. So now let's check our data frame. As you can see over here, now it is converted into numerical values 1 and 0. So now let's do the same for this region column. So now let's first check unique values available in this region column. As you can see over here, 4 values: southwest, southeast, northwest and northeast. So now let's use map function. So region dot map. So I am going to map this southwest to 1, this southeast to 2, this northwest to 3 and northeast. Let me copy and paste it over here to 4. Let me execute this cell as you can see over here. So now let's modify our existing data frame. So data region equal to this statement. Let me execute this cell. So now let's check first 5 rows of our data set. As you can see over here, region column values are also converted into numerical values that you can see over here. So this way we can use map function to convert string values to numerical values that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we have to store feature matrix in X and response variable, which is also called as target variable, into vector Y. So let me first display column names as you can see over here. So please remember, for the model training, we have to store independent and dependent variables separately. So let's store independent variables in matrix X and let me write data dot drop. I am going to drop dependent variable charges. Let me write X is equal to 1. Now let me check. As you can see over here, we have stored our independent variables into this matrix X that you can see over here. So now let's store our dependent variable charges into Y. Let me execute this cell. So now let me check. As you can see over here. So please remember, here I have used a capital X because it is a matrix, and here I have used lowercase y because it is a vector. Here case doesn't matter, but better to use a professional way. So this way we can store our feature matrix in X, which contains independent variables. And as you can see over here, our vector Y, which contains our target, means our response variable. So now our next question. In this question, we are going to use train test split method to evaluate the performance of the model. So here we are going to split our data into two sets or two parts, a training set and a testing set. So we are going to train our models on training set, and then after we will test our model on testing set. So for that we have to import train test split from sklearn dot model underscore selection. We have to import train underscore test underscore split, train test split. Let me execute this cell. So now let's use train test split. So here we have to pass our independent variables and our dependent variable, and also we have to define test size. So we are going to store this 20% data separately for testing purpose, and here we have to write x underscore train, x underscore test, y underscore train and y underscore test equal to this train test split. So x train, which contains our features, means independent variables, and this is our label, means our response or target variable or dependent variable. Same for we are keeping 20% data for testing. This is x test, means our features or dependent variables, and this is label for this data, y test, which is our target or response variable or dependent variable. So please remember, we are going to train our model on x train and y train, and we are going to test our model on x test, and we will compare our result with y test. Let me execute this cell. So let me display x train. As you can see over here, our independent variables. Let me display y train. As you can see over here, our dependent variable charges that you can see over here. So now let me execute this cell. as you can see over here. Please look at here. So as you can see over here, every time we are getting random samples. So if you want to make these samples remain the same in every run, so for that we have to use one parameter in this train test plate, random underscore state with some value. Let me write 42. So please remember, it doesn't matter what the actual random underscore state number is, 10, 0, 2, 20, whatever. The important thing is that every time you use 42, you will always get the same output at the first time when initialized by the same seed. So it will reproduce the same sequence of random numbers. So if you are using random underscore state is equal to 42, you will get same sample as mine. So this way we can use train test split method of sklearn to evaluate the performance of the model that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we are going to import the models. So as you know, this is a regression problem. So we are going to use some of the most widely used regression models. So let me first import linear regression from sklearn.linear underscore model, and we have to import linear regression. So now from sklearn.svm, I'm going to import SVR, support vector regressor. Let me import random forest regressor. So here I am going to import random forest regressor. So from sklearn.ensemble, we have to import random forest regressor. Now I am going to import gradient boosting regressor. From sklearn.ensemble, import gradient boosting regressor. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our models are successfully imported. So now let's perform training. So for training, we have to use fit method. So now let's train our first model, linear regression. So let me copy and let me create instance of this linear regression, LR. You can use any other name. So LR.fit on X train and on Y train. So now let's use SVR, support vector regressor. Let me copy this and let me paste it over here, SVM. So now let's train random forest regressor. So let me copy and let me create instance with RF equal to our random forest regressor. Let me copy this and let me paste it over here. And here is RF. Now let's train gradient boosting regressor. So let me copy. So now let's create instance with name GR and let me paste it over here. Let me copy this and let me paste it over here. And here is GR. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our models are successfully trained, that you can see over here. So this way we can perform model training using fit method that you can see over here on X train and on Y train. So now our next question. So in this question, we are going to perform prediction on the test data. So we are going to perform this prediction using X test, which is unseen samples. So let me create variable ypred1 for our first model, LR, linear regression, and let's perform prediction on these unseen samples, which is available in X test. To save our recording time, let me copy this statement 4 times for our remaining models. Here, prediction with our first model, linear regression, that you can see over here. Now, let's use SVM, that you can see over here, and random forest regressor, that you can see over here. And now let's use gradient boosting regressor, GR. So now also we are going to compare this prediction with actual values, which is available in Y-test. So for that, let me create one data frame so we can compare it easily. So pd.dataframe. So here actual values which is available in Y-test and prediction by this linear regression available in ypred1 and prediction by SVM available in ypred2 and prediction by random forest available in ypred3 and prediction by gradient boosting regressor available in ypred4. Let me execute this cell. So here we have to use Python dictionary. Let me execute this cell once again. So now let's check our data frame. As you can see over here, actual value and prediction bilinear regression, support vector regressor, random forest regressor, and gradient boosting regressor that you can see over here. If we compare some of the values, you can see over here, this is near to actual value that you can see over here. So now our next question. In this question, we are going to compare performance of the model visually. So we can find the best model. As you can see over here, these are some actual values and these are predicted values by these different models. So it is very difficult to find the best model out of this data. So we are going to visualize it. So we can find the best model out of it. So let's get started. For visualization, I am going to use matplotlib. So for that we have to import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our matplotlib library is successfully imported. So now to visualize these four models, we are going to use subplot. So let me write plt.subplot and 2 to 1. So we are going to draw four plots in 2 cross 2 grid. So here 2 rows, 2 columns, and this is first subplot. So let me write plt.plot. Let's plot our actual values. df1, which is pointing to our data frame here. And these are actual values. So let me copy this column name and let me paste it over here. And let's set the label to actual. Now let's plot predicted values by our first model that you can see over here, LR. So let me copy this column name and let me paste it over here. And let's set label to LR. And to display these labels in our plot, we have to use this legend method. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, actual values in this blue color and predicted values that you can see in this orange color. But it is very difficult to differentiate both the values, actual values and predicted values. So now let's compare first 10 values. So I am using iloc 0 to 11 to select only 10 rows from our dataset. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now we can easily compare actual values and predicted values. So now we have used 4 models. So let me copy this code 4 times. So this code to compare actual values with predicted values by linear regression. And this is our second subplot. Actual values with predicted values by support vector regressor. So let me set to this. And let's change the label to this. And this is our third subplot. So we are going to compare actual values with random forest regressor. So let me copy this column name and let me paste it over here. And this is our fourth plot. In that we are going to compare actual values with the predicted values by gradient boosting regressor. So let me copy this column name and let me paste it over here and here as well. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, some overlapping. So for that, let me use plt.tight_layout. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here. So this legend is missing in these 3 plots. So let me copy and paste it over here as well, and here as well. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now it's look better. So from the plots, we can observe that model 3 and model 4 appears to be pretty close to the actual values that you can see over here, model 3 and model 4. Model 1 plot is not matching with actual values that you can see over here. And model 2 is predicting a constant value that you can see over here. But if you are comparing this model 3 and model 4 that you can see over here, model 4 is better than model 3 that you can see over here. So now let's further evaluate our models to select the best model. So here we are going to evaluate our models, or called as the algorithms, using R-square. R-square value is used to measure the goodness of fit. Greater the value of R-square, better the regression model. So for that we have to import from sklearn, we have to import matrix. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our matrix module is successfully imported. So now let's use R square. So for that we have to write R2 underscore score and let's perform on testing set. So for that we have to write y underscore test, which is our actual values and predicted values by our first model by linear regression. So let me store this into score 1. So now we have used total 4 models. So let me copy this statement 3 times. So this is for model 1, this is for model 2, this is for model 3 and this is for model 4. These predicted values by model 1, by model 2, by model 3 and by model 4. So let me execute this cell. So now let's display these core values. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, from these R squared values, we can see that model 4 is performing better than any other model that you can see over here. In regression, we can also use other metrics for model evaluation. So let's use mean absolute error. So for that, we have to write matrix dot mean absolute error on our actual values and on our predicted values by model 1. So let me store it into S1. So let me copy this statement 3 times because total we are having 4 models. So S2, S3 and S4 and predicted values by model 2, by model 3 and by model 4. Let me execute this cell. So now let's print S1, S2, S3 and S4. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, so this mean absolute error generally used to evaluate the performance of regression models. Here lower is better. As you can see over here, again model 4 is performing better than any other model that you can see over here. These are some of the ways by that we can evaluate the performance of regression models that you can see over here. We have evaluated in this way that you can see over here, and also we have compared the performance visually that you can see over here and by R squared and finally by mean absolute error that you can see over here. So by this different evaluation, we can conclude that model 4 is the best model for this dataset. So we are going to use this model 4 gradient boosting regressor for prediction and model deployment. So now next question. In this question, we are going to predict charges for new customer. So let's assume that we are getting data from new customer as pandas data frame. So let's create pandas data frame using Python dictionary. So let me first create Python dictionary with age. Let's take it as 40 and sex 1 means male. BMI. Let me take 40.30. Children. Let me take 4. Smoker. Let me take 1 means yes. And region. Let me take 2. So now let's create pandas data frame using this Python dictionary. Let me pass df1 and we are having only index 1 means 0. Let me display our data frame. As you can see over here, here is data. We have to pass this Python dictionary into this data frame that you can see over here with only one index 0. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, so let's assume that we have received this new customer data as in data frame that you can see over here. So now let's predict charges based on this available data. So I am going to use model number 4. So gr.predict and this df. So let me store it in one variable new predict and let me display this value. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, cost as per these values that we have received from new customer that you can see over here. So this way we can perform prediction on unseen sample, or we can say for newly arrived customer that you can see over here. So in this question, we are going to save our model using Joblib library. So it is not required to train our model again and again. But please remember, we can also consider this as a deployment. So before deployment, we have to train our model on entire dataset not only on X-train and Y-train. We have trained our model on X-train and Y-train just to evaluate our model and to find best model. So now we found our best model, right? Gradient boosting regression. So now we are going to train gradient boosting regression on entire dataset before deployment. So let me copy this code and let me paste it over here. And in place of this, we are going to train this gradient boosting regression on entire dataset. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, now our model is trained on entire dataset. So now let's save this model. So again and again, training is not required. So for that, let me import joblib library. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, this joblib is successfully imported. So now let's save our model. So for that, we have to use dump method of this joblib library and our instance gr that you can see over here. And you can give any model name. Let me give model underscore joblib underscore gr. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our model is saved successfully. Now in future, you can perform prediction using this model. Let me show you this. So for that, let me create one variable model is equal to, we have to use joblib dot load method of this joblib library. And here we have to pass this model name. That's all. Let me execute this cell. Now you can see our model is successfully loaded. Now we can perform prediction using this saved model. So model dot predict. So now let's predict this one, this df once again. So let me pass df. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, charges for new customer that you can see over here. As you can see over here, charges is different by this prediction and this prediction because this model that we have trained on X train and Y train, but here we have trained this model on entire dataset. This result is more accurate as compared to this because we have trained our model on entire dataset that you can see over here. So now let's create GUI for our project insurance cost prediction using machine learning. So anybody can use this GUI for prediction of charges for newly arrived customer. So let me first write from hinter we want all. Let me execute this cell. Now also we have to import joblib to load our saved model. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, joblib library is successfully imported. So now let's start our GUI creation. So let me create one variable master for this TK instance and let's create title for our form insurance cost prediction. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, empty because we have to rotate this using main loop. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, also you can write without this. Let me execute this cell once again. As you can see over here, now our new form is created for our GUI and you can see the title insurance cost prediction that you can see over here. So now let's create one label. So label equal to label in this master form and let me write one text. To save our recording time, let me copy this text and let me paste it over here. Background color, let me set it to black and foreground color, let me set it to white color. Let's put inside grid at row 0 and in the middle. So for that I am using column span parameter. Let me set it to true. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, our label is created with name insurance cost prediction. So now let's create label for our features. Let me write enter your age and let's put into grid at row number 1 because this label is at row number 0. To save our recording time, let me copy and paste it over here. As per our number of features, first enter your age, then we have to ask male or female. For that, user has to enter 1 or 0 and here enter your BMI value and here enter number of children and here we have to ask smoker yes or no and we want answer in 1 or 0. So let me copy this and let me paste it over here. Still 1 is remaining. So let me ask for the region. In US, the value is between 1 to 4. So this is at row number 1. So this is at 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Let me execute this cell as you can see over here. So now let's create here input widget so user can enter these values. So for that let me write E1 which is called as a entry widget, entry in master form. To save our recording time, let me copy and paste. Let me set it to E2, E3, E4, E5 and E6 because here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now let's set its position inside this form. So E1 dot grid row number 1 and also at column number 1. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, row number 1 and column number is also 1, 0 and 1 that you can see over here. So now let me copy and let me paste it 5 times for E2, E3, E4, E5 and E6. So row number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 but at column number 1. Let me execute this cell. As you can see over here, this nice GUI is created. Now here we have to create one button for prediction. So let me write button in this master form and text of this button predict. If somebody press this button, we want to execute this function and let's put this inside grid. Let me execute this cell. You can see this. So entry is not defined because still we have not created logic for this function. So now let's create logic for this function. So let me create function def and let me copy this function name and let me paste it over here. So now I am taking p1 is equal to e1 dot get to get the data entered by the user and we want to cast it as a float. So let me copy this and paste 5 times. Let me arrange it properly. So let me change this to P2, P3, P4, P5 and P6. And here E2, E3, E4, E5 and E6. So now here we have received data from the user. So now let's load our model using joblib dot load. And as you can see over here, we have saved our model with this name. So let me copy this and let me paste it over here. Now let's perform prediction. So model dot predict and here we have to predict the values of P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 and P6. Now let's create label to store this result and let me store this in one variable result. So label again in master form and let me write text. Let me copy this and let me paste it over here. Insurance cost and let me set into our grid in row number you can see over here row number 6. So here let me set at row number 7 and label master and text is equal to the result of this prediction, this one, and let me set it to grid on row number 8 and let me execute this cell as you can see over here. So I am going to enter these values. So let me enter 40, 1, 40.3, 4, 1 and 2. Let me press this button. As you can see over here, this one that you can see over here, because we have trained our model on entire data set. So we have to compare this result with this that you can see over here. So this way you can create GUI for any machine learning project. If you like this video, smash that like button. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care. Bye bye. See you in the next video.